Are you thinking about moving to the greater Houston area and looking for some information to make the decision if it is the place for you and potentially for you and your family? Well, I'm going to give you some pros and cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly. No sugarcoating, just real information so you can make the decision if the greater Houston area really is the place for you. My name's Dinko. I'm a licensed real estate agent and a licensed mortgage broker in the state of Texas. If you need to get a hold of me, I love helping people that are making the move to the Lone Star State. My contact information will be down below in the description. Call or text me anytime. We'll start with the cons first, since if you're thinking about moving to Houston, I'm hoping there's already some pros pulling you to the area. So the cons I'm going to start with are going to be the ones that hit your pocket, and there's two of them: homeowners insurance and property taxes. I always have people that are caught off guard by how much higher the homeowners insurance is, even though the home prices are lower than from the state that they're coming. Also, property taxes are going to be higher, and that is going to be even more true if you're buying in a newer subdivision outside of the Houston area where they have a higher MUD tax because they have to get the utilities to the new neighborhood, and that gets passed on to the homeowners. That does go down as time passes, as it's being paid down. So you could be somewhere in the 3 percentile when you're buying in one of those new communities. And if you're coming from New Jersey, Illinois, New York, somewhere in the Northeast, Midwest, then you really don't have to worry about it because your property taxes are already high. However, luckily in the great state of Texas, we don't have any income tax, so it does help to set that off. But we are one of the higher property tax states in the nation. So definitely keep that in mind if you're coming from one of those lower property tax states, and maybe add 10 to 20% on the houses you're looking at so you can compare apples to apples. Because I always have people coming from the low property tax states and they're caught off guard. They're like, wow, the home prices are so affordable, but we noticed something with the taxes. Is that real? And yes, that is absolutely 100% real. So if you're coming from a low property tax state, definitely keep that in mind. Weather is a big con in the greater Houston area. It's very hot. And I want to show y'all something here real quick, and then I'll get to it a little bit more. So K Houston in 2018 was making a joke saying 100 more days of 90s left. As you can see here, from now to October. And right now in 2022, June was the hottest June on record in Houston's history. So the weather is definitely hot. It's humid. And I don't care if people say you get used to it. They're lying. You don't. I've never met anybody that was born in Houston, that grew up in Houston, that's lived in Houston, that said that they got used to the weather and that they could just hang outside and not be affected by it. The humidity will not allow you to not sweat. So there is no way you're going to be sitting outside in the middle of the day during the summer months. There's no way about it. And summer really lasts from like May to about October. And it's hot. I mean, I'll go in the middle of the day to throw out trash and I'm breaking a sweat for being outside for 10 seconds. And the weather is a breeding ground for allergies. If you haven't had any allergies, you potentially could. And if you do have allergies, they potentially could get a little worse. Just keep that in mind. Now, flooding is one that I also want to show, and it's something definitely to keep in mind in the Houston area. Houston is definitely prone to flooding, and it's the flooding capital of America. It is resilient. It always bounces back. It always comes out stronger. But I want to show y'all something that was put together by ABC News. Floods that happened during, ironically, holidays. Memorial 2015 was a big flood. The next one I have on the list, Halloween 2015. That's just a small section that really had major flooding. The roads are designed for the water to run off through the roads and into the bayous. Tax day flood was definitely a big flood. That was one where I actually opened the front door of my house and my trash can was just floating down the street. I couldn't even get to it if I wanted to. And then, of course, everybody knows about Harvey. Harvey caused billions and billions of dollars of damages and a numerous amount of houses that flooded. And the one positive about Harvey is that it finally made the government officials have to take action. And we've had big rain pours since Harvey, and we haven't had those big floods that we had during the Memorial Day flood, during the tax day flood. So I guess if there is a positive, that would be one I would take from it, as they have actually taken some precautions for it to not be as bad into the future. Now, all of that humidity and all of that rain leads to a breeding ground for bugs. And when they say everything is bigger in Texas, it's really true. The bugs are going to be bigger. You're going to see bugs that you don't even know what they are. And the mosquitoes are vicious. So whatever you do, definitely bring some mosquito spray because they're going to eat you up alive. Hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified every time a new video is dropped. And if you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button. Help me with that YouTube algorithm. Another con is the crime. Houston is a big city, and when it comes to crime, it definitely has big city problems. So definitely keep that in mind as you're researching the areas, looking where you'd want to live, or if ultimately Houston really is the place for you. Now, the last con is the sheer size of the metro of Houston. It's huge. It's almost bigger than the state of Massachusetts, and it's actually bigger than 5 other states. So it's bigger than Delaware, New Hampshire, Connecticut, New Jersey, and I forgot the other one. I think it was Rhode Island. So it's bigger than each one of those states and almost bigger than the state of Massachusetts. So it's no wonder why Houston drives more miles per car than any other city. I want to show y'all here real quick the metro area. So if you look at all of this, Freeport down here, Galveston, it goes all the way around to the Woodlands, Conroe area, down here to Katy and Sugar Land. So all of this here is the greater Houston area. So it's definitely got a lot of driving for you in store. You got to have a car, and anywhere you want to get to, even if it's the store, the grocery store, it can sometimes take 15-20 minutes. Nothing feels close, so definitely keep that in mind as well. All right, that was enough with the cons. Now let's look at the pros, and Houston definitely has a lot of them. The first two that we'll talk about is the cost of living and jobs. Cost of living in the greater Houston area is much lower than it is in other cities across the United States, but it pays like a big time city. It is also very diversified when it comes to its job sectors, as it has jobs for everybody. I want to show this article here real quick. So 1 in 3 manufacturers in Texas call Houston home. 18 Forbes Global 2000 headquarters are located in the greater Houston area. 44 out of 113 U.S. publicly traded oil and gas companies are located in the greater Houston area, and it's ranked 3rd among U.S. metro areas in Fortune 500 headquarters. And it doesn't stop there. Houston is home to the largest medical center in the world. People from all over the United States and all over the world come to Houston to get medical treatment. So if you're in the medical industry, there's definitely going to be an abundance of jobs available to you. And it also doesn't get the love that it deserves when it comes to the tech sector. Now, it actually ranks as one of the top metros for tech jobs. And if we look at this article here, it's actually ranked number 11. So regardless of what industry you specialize in, what industry you're looking for work in, Houston is definitely a place for you when it comes to jobs. And if you're looking for a city that has low cost of living, but pays like a big time city and your paycheck can go further, it's definitely a city for you. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button so you're notified when new videos are dropped, and hit that like button as well. Now, another pro is the diversity. Houston, as we can see here in this article by ABC News, it once again has claimed as being the most diverse city in America. It's awesome. For me, when I moved down to the greater Houston area and I had my college job, I definitely didn't feel out of place with my last name, Dinko Keserovic. So definitely didn't feel like it stood out, as there was so many different people around me from all around the world. So it's definitely a diverse area. And the other cool thing is that diversity brings the awesomeness when it comes to restaurants. You will never not have a place to not try or get bored, because there is food from all over the world. There's food from Asia, of course. There's food from Mexico. There's food from South America. There's food from Africa. There's food from India, from the Middle East. I mean, there is an abundance of food. I personally love it because I love food and I love being able to try different food, and you can never get bored. So that is definitely a positive when it comes to the greater Houston area. Now, another pro is the shopping scene. And you don't have to be a big time shopper to benefit from this perk, because if you're ever looking for something, you're never going to have an issue of finding it in the greater Houston area. Now, if you are a big time shopper, Houston definitely has your back, as it is home to one of the largest malls in the nation and the 4th largest domain, the Galleria. If we take a look here on TripAdvisor, There are over 26 million people that visit the Galleria each year. There are over 400 stores and restaurants, 2 high-rise hotels, and 3 office towers. So if you love shopping, Houston definitely is going to be the place for you. A buddy of mine once flew into Houston. I took him to the Galleria. We got lost. I actually had to call my wife because I couldn't find my way out of the mall. She had to explain to me how to find a garage that I parked in so I could get to my car and finally get home. So if you love the shopping scene, Houston is definitely the place for you. Now, the last pro that we'll talk about is the mild winter weather. Yes, the summer is very hot, but it does lead to some nice and mild winters. So if you want mild weather for about 5 months out of the year where it's 60s and 70s, you have some 50s and maybe some 40s, then Houston is definitely the place for you if you don't want to wear big jackets and you don't want snow. Those are some of the pros and cons of living in the greater Houston area. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you're notified every time a new video drops. Hit that like button as well. And if you need to get a hold of me, my contact information will be down below. My team and I love helping people making the move to the Lone Star State. And until next time, have a great day.